Hong Kong tycoon Philip's wife offered me $10 million to seduce him, to obtain evidence of his infidelity. I used all my charms and finally had him wrapped around my finger. Then I secured the evidence and made a swift exit. Philip crossed half the globe to find me in Tanzania, fuming with anger yet forcing a laugh. After devouring me completely, you still have the mood to watch animal migrations. I felt extremely guilty, feigning sorrow. I said, the relationship between us has already been discovered by your wife. He gritted his teeth and said, no marriage, no wife, just a heart shattered by you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Early in the morning, the beat-up car I was driving rear-ended the luxury vehicle of Philip, a big shot in the entertainment circle. I quickly gave my name, putting on a pitiful, innocent look, and promised, don't worry, I'll definitely compensate you for the damages. Philip's assistant handled the compensation matters with me. Philip sat in the car without even glancing at me. 3 days later, to earn the compensation, I was forced to accompany someone drinking at a club. The man had a somewhat twisted sense of humor, drenching me in alcohol. Philip happened to witness this scene as he passed by. I looked pitiful, on the verge of tears. My gaze flickered toward him almost imperceptibly, but after a brief pause, he simply walked away. I watched his retreating figure, thought to myself, just a lecherous man putting on an act. Pushed away the man who was forcing me to drink. Enough. Enough. Can't you see he's not biting? Still pouring. Still pouring. Are you really that addicted to it? The man smiled apologetically. Didn't you say acting should be as realistic as possible? I took out my phone and transferred money to him. The show's over. You can leave now. I stared at myself in the mirror for a long time. The woman in the mirror had snow-white skin and flower-like beauty, with a head of luxuriant jet-black hair that would arouse envy. Her curvaceous figure could randomly captivate any passerby. I just don't believe that with my looks. I won't be able to win over Philip today. I waited at the club entrance for over an hour before he finally emerged. Surrounded by his entourage, I pretended to be drunk, swaying unsteadily. I staggered in circles on the spot several times. From the corner of my eye, Philip appears impeccably dressed, not even glancing sideways. Damn, this is baffling. I'm in this state. Why hasn't he come over to help me yet? Mrs. Rodney didn't say Philip would fall for this, did she? Half a month ago, a woman who called herself Mrs. Rodney approached me and, without a word, threw a bank card at me. There's 10 million in here. My eyes lit up. I thought to myself, this is a big deal. Mrs. Rodney adjusted her sunglasses and said, Miss Zoe, I've heard you've been in this line of work for a long time. As long as you take the case, there's no evidence you can't obtain. Is that right? I took a sip of coffee and replied, guaranteed. Having been in the industry for 3 years, I've dedicated myself full-time to punishing scumbags and helping women fight for their share of family assets. So far, in my hands, there has never been a defeat. Mrs. Rodney nodded approvingly and handed me a document. The document contained the man's basic information. Philip, from Hong Kong, 188 centimeters tall, founder of LG Group, heir to the Rodney family empire, a billionaire top-tier tycoon. I closed the documents with a troubled expression. Him. Mrs. Rodney nodded. What is it? Can't you do it? I hesitated. With his status, he probably has several bodyguards. Right. I can't exactly follow him around to gather evidence. Mrs. Rodney, then you should take matters into your own hands. Get close to him, seduce him, and win him over. My mouth opened slightly in surprise. This Mrs. Rodney is really desperate for a divorce. When I remained silent, she added, "Don't be fooled by Philip's extremely proper appearance. In reality, he's lustful and secretly kinky, especially for women like you. Hot-bodied and enchantingly beautiful." She raised an eyebrow at me. I fell into deep thought. Do it myself. Wouldn't I have to make some sacrifices then? What if after it's done, Philip comes after me? Looking at the bank card on the table, that's 10 million right there. With this money, I won't have to worry about my mom's medical expenses anymore. At worst, I can just take the money and run far away. This deal isn't a bad one. I nodded. Deal. Fuck. As I was thinking, a large hand wrapped around my shoulder. His unique scent instantly enveloped me. A voice sounded above my head. "Miss Zoe, you're drunk." My heart leaped with joy. The fish had finally taken the bait. I naturally leaned into his embrace, looking up at him with a dazed expression. "Mr. Philip," pretending to be drunk. I mumbled, "I'll pay you back. I earned a fortune just tonight." Hazily stretching out my hand, I added, 3,000. He curled the corners of his lips, a smile spreading from his eyes. Then he spoke softly. "I have a simpler way to repay the debt. Miss Zoe, would you like to try it?" My heart raced wildly. Before I could speak, he swept me up into his arms. "There's a hotel near the club. It's under his name." So without registering any names, he carried me all the way into the executive suite. My body sank into the soft bed. The man's body leaned down, and a scorching kiss descended. He pinched my chin. "Miss Zoe, focus a little more." I wanted to push him away, but he grabbed my wrist and pinned it above my head. I panicked for a moment and tried to refuse. "Wait." My unspoken words were silenced by him. Damn it. I hadn't even gathered a shred of evidence yet, and he had already devoured me completely. When I woke up the next day, there was no sign of Philip in the room. Ignoring the messy bed and the torn clothes scattered on the floor, on the table was a breakfast, with a note underneath containing his contact information. Several exquisite bags were placed on the sofa. Upon opening it, there was a set of lingerie and a dress. I lifted the lingerie out with my index finger. TSK. How utterly garish. The phone vibrated a few times. Mrs. Rodney sent a message. "Miss Zoe, how's the mission going?" I typed and then deleted. After a long while, I managed to squeeze out one sentence. "Progress is going well. Mrs. Rodney, awesome." I took out the voice recorder from my bag, looking full of regret. I was in such a hurry yesterday that I didn't even get a chance to turn on the voice recorder. No problem. Let's try again. I've added Philip to my contacts. The other side quickly accepted the friend request. "Philip, awake. Did you eat the breakfast I prepared for you?" Me. "Yeah." "Philip, does the outfit fit? Can you try it on and show me?" Why does he always take the bait himself? I couldn't wait to redo my makeup, then took out the lingerie and snapped 9 consecutive mirror selfies before sending them to him. Philip sent an address. "Come find me." I quickly took a screenshot and replied obediently. "Okay." Philip gave me the company's address. Surprisingly, he's being way too blatant about it. The receptionist girl enthusiastically led me to his office, and as she watched me enter, her face was lit up with excitement. That expression was exactly the kind I'd have when shipping a couple. I forced a stiff smile. "Something feels off." But this isn't something I should be worrying about. I push open the office door. Philip is in a video conference. When he sees me enter, he clears his throat lightly. All right, let's wrap it up for today. With that, he closed the laptop. He reached out and pulled me forcefully, making me sit on his lap. I half-heartedly pushed him away. We're at the office. This isn't appropriate. Thinking of the voice recorder in my bag, a brilliant idea struck me. I traced circles on his chest with my fingertip. Mr. Philip, won't your wife get angry seeing us like this? A flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes. Then he raised an eyebrow slightly, looking at me with an expression of complete surrender. So this is what you're into? Ha! Do I like this? Oh, he means I like someone like him. A married man. I played along perfectly, giggling as I draped my arms over his shoulders. Then do you like it? He wrapped his arm around my waist, turning passivity into initiative, and leaned in close to murmur hoarsely, I do. Thrilling. I hooked my arm around him, deliberately avoiding his kiss. So, do you like me or your wife more? The hand on my waist slowly moved upward. The man chuckled lowly. The grass is always greener on the other side. You rascal. So predictably coy. Lately, Philip has been accompanying me everywhere, completely unbothered by appearances. At the auction, I glanced one extra time at that priceless ruby necklace. The auction ended and it appeared around my neck. Philip examined me carefully, then smiled adoringly. Beautiful. I froze slightly. I swallowed hard while looking at the gemstone necklace around my neck. Goodness. He's so generous. Evening. After dinner, I pestered Philip to watch a movie with me. His phone suddenly rang. The voice on the other end was very familiar to me. It was Mrs. Rodney. She asked in a complaining tone, How long has it been since you came home? Mom and Dad keep asking about you. Why don't you come back tonight? Philip's parents' voices also came through the phone. Philip, I've cooked a whole table of dishes. It's still early. Why don't you come home to eat? It'll be a good chance for everyone to gather. Philip replied impatiently. Mom, turns out relatives had come over. Seems like Mrs. Rodney's way of getting Philip to obediently come home. Moving out from parents and relatives. This tactic works quite well indeed. Philip looked at me, sighed, and seemed about to agree. I turned around and straddled his lap, pouting, You're not going back. You promised to watch a movie with me tonight. If you leave, I'll be angry. As I spoke, my hands began to wander. Philip struggled to restrain himself, whispering in my ear, Don't mess around. On the other end of the phone, Philip's parents asked in confusion, What's that noise? Philip, what are you doing? Philip grabbed my wrist and held it in front of him, casually responding to the person on the phone. Just went for a run. I've been busy with work lately. I'll come back in a while. With that, he hung up the phone. He couldn't wait to pick me up and head to the room. I asked shyly, If your parents find out about us, won't they give you a hard time? He won't. Philip kissed my lips. They'd love that. Me. Your circle is really messy. With the mindset that a scoundrel's money is there for the taking, I embraced my gold-digging traits. Mr. Philip, there's a new designer bag out recently. I really like it. Philip waved his hand grandly. Buy it. Mr. Philip, a while ago, I went to the car show with my girlfriends. It was so cool. If only I could have one too. The next morning, the sleek car was parked right in front of me. Mr. Philip, the new villas in the Southern District have launched. If I could live there. My life would be complete. 3 days later, Philip bought the villa in full and gave it to me. He raised an eyebrow slightly, speaking with effortless ease. Do you like it? I nodded frantically. Do you like the house or me more? I grinned obsequiously, stood on tiptoe, and planted a loud kiss on his cheek. Of course. It's you I like. Just a second ago, we were still being all lovey-dovey. The next second I sent Mrs. Rodney a message. Mrs. Rodney, check Philip's recent large expenditure records. She exclaimed in surprise. So fast. Half an hour later, the phone rang. Mrs. Rodney's voice was full of disbelief. Zoe, how could you spend so much money in just a few days? He actually willingly spends money on you. Have you two officially gotten together? She must be feeling the pinch in her wallet. I quickly added, don't worry. I'm an honest person. Once everything's settled, I'll return all these things to you. After all, she's already given me 10 million. Mrs. Rodney seemed to not have heard a word I said at all. She muttered to herself, my brother, that tightwad, clearly loves his wife more than his sister. It's so hard to get money from him, yet you got it so easily. I didn't catch that. Mrs. Rodney, what did you say? No, it's nothing. Keep up the good work. I'll hang up now. Her voice sounded somewhat dejected, but it's understandable. Hearing that your own husband is spending money on another woman. Who wouldn't feel upset about that? I need to hurry up. Philip, for someone like this, basic evidence alone isn't enough. I did the math. Now we have the audio recording, the chat history, and the expense records. All we're missing is the video. I originally thought about taking a photo, but then I felt a photo wouldn't be solid enough evidence. Video would be better. During Philip's time with me, he remained quite vigilant. Many times before, when I wanted to take a video, he wouldn't allow it. He said, that's not good. I thought Philip had noticed something, but after much thought, I felt like I was overthinking it. After all, if he had noticed, why would he willingly spend so much money on me? Just as I was thinking, the door clicked open. Philip walked in carrying a cake. The clock on the wall pointed exactly to 12. I asked blankly, didn't you say the company was busy tonight and you wouldn't be back? He tugged at his tie wearily and shook the cake in his hand. Your birthday. My heart suddenly raced. It's been many years since anyone celebrated my birthday, to the point where even I almost forgot the date. I just casually mentioned it once to Philip, but he remembered it in his heart. My eyes suddenly welled up with tears. I lowered my gaze to hide my emotions. He opened the cake box by himself, inserted the candles. Sweetheart, make a wish. I clasped my hands together, closed my eyes, and was about to make a wish, but he held my hand, smiling gently. Wish to me. I'll make it come true for you. I froze for a long time. Some emotion seemed to be tugged back and forth by him. It was terrible. I forcefully shook off those inexplicable thoughts in my mind and put on my usual naive expression again, hanging around his neck. I smiled coquettishly and said, I want you to stay with me forever. Philip slipped a gemstone as big as a pigeon's egg onto my finger, pressing his forehead against mine. He whispered softly, Happy birthday. I feel like I'm becoming increasingly dependent on Philip. He's been busy negotiating projects these past 2 days and couldn't spare any time to accompany me. The project was finally settled, and just when he could finally have some rest, a few of his friends invited him out to hang out. 9:30 p.m. I tossed and turned, feeling like time was passing so slowly. I couldn't hold back and sent him a message. Where's the party? Why aren't you back yet? Without you, the bed feels cold. Philip, miss me. I sent a pouting emoji. He quickly sent me the address. Come over. I got up and dressed in one swift motion. When I arrived, the private room was buzzing with lively conversation. I'm not sure what mindset I was in, but I stood at the door and listened for a while. Philip's brothers teased him. President Philip has been living quite comfortably lately. Heard you've got yourself a canary. Philip just smiled without saying a word. The whole circle is talking about it. How you bought her a house. Then a car. Philip, this must be the iron tree blooming at last. Philip stubbed out his cigarette and responded quietly with a low hum. The flowers are truly blooming splendidly this time. The men beside him gaped in astonishment. Wow, you're something else. Hey, what's that girl's background? Which family's young lady is she? Philip leaned back on the leather sofa. No background. No background. So this girl actually managed to win you over. Philip seemed to recall something, his eyes brimming with amusement. She's quite skilled. Canary. Quite skilled. I should be happy. After all, I approached Philip with my own agenda in mind. Looking back now, the plan was quite successful. But why? Does my heart feel inexplicably heavy? I pushed aside the jumbled emotions in my mind and walked in through the door. Everyone was very warm, standing up with smiles to greet me. Sister-in-law is here. Philip has mentioned you to us, and we finally get to meet you in person today. The man speaking gave me a thumbs up. Beautiful. If you ask me, these celebrities aren't as good-looking as you. I've become immune to such compliments. Still wearing a proper smile on my face, I shyly replied, "Oh, come on." But in my heart, I was grumbling. Men are all the same. Birds of a feather. No, Philip is cheating. Yet still dare to flatter me so brazenly. The woman beside me pulled me to sit down. Over there, the men are drinking. Here, the women are chatting. Miss Zoe, where did you get your hair done? Is it all real? Your hair is so thick. What shade is your lipstick? Your bust shape is so beautiful. Is it augmented? Is there any D here? Oh my God. This bag. It's so beautiful. It's just too hard to get. I couldn't snag one. President Philip is really good to you. I pretended to smile sweetly. Yes, he is. Then I sighed lightly and said despondently, "It's just a pity. There's no official title." As I spoke, I turned to look at Philip. I wonder what he's chatting about with his friends. The smile at the corners of his eyes never faded from start to finish. Today he's dressed more casually. A black turtleneck sweater that clearly outlines his muscular frame, paired with golden-framed glasses. Compared to his usual mature and steady demeanor, tonight he exudes a more restrained and ascetic aura. To be honest, if he didn't mess around, he would truly be a perfect man. Having feelings for him is not at all surprising, but it can only go this far. I warned myself in my heart. Zoe, that's all there is to it. At 11:10, I yawned. Philip stood up. All right. I'm done playing. I'm heading back. He picked up his coat and draped it over me. His buddies laughed. Wife comes before bros. Ha! We finally get together and you're leaving so early. Philip just smiled. I also felt awkward about leaving early, so I tugged at his sleeve and said, "The gathering isn't over yet. Wouldn't it be rude to leave like this?" Seeing that I was serious, the man added, "Sis, I was just joking." Philip placed my hand on his arm. "Ignore them." I walked away with him, and as soon as we stepped out, we bumped into an acquaintance. "Hey, isn't this Zoe? You can actually afford to spend money in a place like this. She looked me up and down, then glanced at Philip beside me, with a look of sudden understanding. Oh, so you've latched onto a sugar daddy. Her name is Elva. We've been at odds since school days. Later, there was a time when her husband cheated on her, and she went to catch them in the act, which I happened to witness. From then on, she hated me even more. Running into her at this moment is really bad luck. I'm afraid she might say something that would make Philip dislike me. Besides, Philip's friends were all there, so I didn't plan to acknowledge her. Just grabbed Philip and quickly walked ahead. Elva wasn't about to let me off. Seeing me embarrassed probably brought her more joy than celebrating the new year. Hey, does this rich guy next to you know your mom used to be the other woman? Handsome. You don't mind, do you? As she spoke, Elva covered her mouth. Oh, listen to me, Zoe. You're not playing the other woman right now, are you? Like mother, like daughter. After years apart, facing such gossip again left me momentarily stunned. Moreover, this was happening in front of Philip, and surrounded by so many of his friends. He must think I've embarrassed him, right? As I was thinking this, Philip put his arm around my shoulder with a displeased expression. Zoe, why aren't you saying anything? I looked up, somewhat at a loss. He frowned and sighed. Weren't you usually so quick-witted? Fight back with words, or throw a punch? Your choice. Elva widened her eyes. You dare hit someone? Watch out, or I'll call the police. Dealing with Elva, the angrier you get, the more she enjoys it. Back in school, she was always the bully, leading others to pick on me and verbally abuse me. No one had my back then. Even the teacher said, "Why does she only bully you and not others?" Besides, she's not wrong. Isn't your mom just a homewrecker? Thoughts returned to the present. I linked arms with Philip and forced a smile. By the way, have you settled that affair about your husband's infidelity? I heard you didn't get a divorce. Are you planning to go help take care of the other woman's postpartum confinement? Elva, you shouldn't keep focusing your attention on me. You should take some time to look in the mirror. Maybe after relieving yourself, instead of making up stories about me here, you should think about how to secure more assets for yourself. Someone like you probably wouldn't even be able to take care of yourself after a divorce. Plus, you've always had a sharp tongue since childhood. I'm really worried you'll get beaten up out there. Elva flushed with anger. Zoe, you damn bitch dare to curse me. She raised her hand to hit me. Philip quickly shielded me in his arms and said to his brother, "Help deal with this." Oh, sure. No problem. Leaving the club, I felt somewhat downcast. For no apparent reason, my eyes began to well up, and my nose tingled with sadness. First, I felt humiliated. Second, I inexplicably felt a pang of grievance. Philip held me as we got into the car. He didn't rush to start the car, leaning over instead to gently wipe away the tears at the corner of my eye with his fingertip. Why are you crying? Didn't scold me enough. Should we go back and I'll go with you to give them a piece of our minds? I burst into laughter through my tears. The next moment, however, I pouted like a child and choked up. Everything that woman said was true. Don't you mind me? Don't you mind that I embarrassed you in front of your friends? He gently caressed my cheek, his voice soft and tender. I only feel heartache for you. Looking into his eyes, I was lost in them for a moment. A dense, sour ache welled up in my heart. Soon, everything returned to normal. I'm just Philip's side chick here. What right does he have to look down on me? Anyway, once he's had enough fun, he'll just kick me to the curb. I sniffled. I hate being the other woman. And I despise scumbags even more. Philip caressed my face and said, I know. I stared at his face, trying to detect any hint of guilt in his expression. Yet he showed not the slightest reaction. Men are all the same, born with the ability to lie without blushing or a racing heart. Multitasking is an innate talent they're born with. I steeled myself and raised my head to kiss his lips. Philip paused in surprise, then snapped back to reality and wrapped his arm around my waist, deepening the kiss. My hands were teasing flames on his body. He flexed his arms slightly and lifted me onto his lap. The streets were nearly empty in the dead of night. The car was parked in a rather secluded spot. I reached out my hand, gently tracing the shape of his abs, and whispered in his ear, "Want to do it in the car?" Philip smiled, his gaze roaming freely over me. He answered in a husky voice, "Okay, afterward." I lay sprawled on top of him. I installed a pinhole camera in his car. This angle should capture his face clearly. Later I'll pixelate the footage along with the photos and send them to Mrs. Rodney. Then my job will be done. I was so exhausted that I fell asleep and don't even remember getting home. When I woke up, Philip was gone. I was awakened by a call from the hospital. "Miss Zoe, is that you? Your mother's hospital fees are due this week. Please come to the hospital to settle it as soon as possible." When I arrived at the hospital, my mother was sitting by the window, basking in the sunlight. Hearing my voice, she didn't turn around but immediately started scolding me. "I raised you to be this big, and now that I'm sick and hospitalized, you don't even come to see me, leaving me to the nurses. Zoe, you're just as heartless as your father. If I had known, I would have strangled you at birth. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this." I've heard these words too many times, and they no longer stir any emotions in me. I said indifferently, "It's a pity life doesn't come with foresight." She turned her head and glared at me with hatred, as if looking at an enemy. My mother was the other woman. To be precise, she didn't know she was the other woman at first. By the time she realized, it was already too late. She gave birth to me. And besides, I'm already 6 years old. So she accepted the reality, yet couldn't help feeling resentful. Thus, she went and made a scene with that man. At that time, the man's original wife had just become pregnant. And after this commotion, the child couldn't be saved. That man hit my mother and completely severed ties with her. From that day on, my mother became a different person. She occasionally hit me and often scolded me, as if I were the outlet for her emotions. She poured all her pain onto me. I hate that cheating man. And I hate my mom too. After graduating from college, my mom got sick. Cancer. Phototherapy is a huge expense. I threw the bank card in front of her. Consider it as buying out this family bond. My mother looked at the bank card. Hysterical. "What do you mean by this? You're not planning to care about me anymore. You want to cut ties with me, don't you?" I looked at her, my expression cold. "I've already done more than enough. The password is your birthday. The money in the card is enough for medical treatment and retirement. From now on, I won't come to see you again. Just pretend you never had a daughter like me." She picked up the glass from the table and threw it at me. "Zoe, you ungrateful wretch. You have no conscience. Who have I lived my whole life for? If it weren't for you, how could I have ended up like this?" She went crazy and smashed a lot of things. I didn't look back. That night, I didn't go home, nor did I go to Philip's place. I made plans with my best friend and went to a bar together. She stared at me for a long time, cupped my face, and smacked her lips. "Zoe, Don't say anything. But this Philip has been taking good care of you. How about you think it over and stay with him after he gets divorced? Killing two birds with one stone. I pushed her away. Forget it. I won't be the other woman. My best friend said seriously. How can you consider yourself the other woman? You're fighting for the ex-wife's share of the property. This is robbing the rich to help the poor. Upholding justice. Besides, once he gets divorced, you won't even be considered the other woman anymore. I'm doing this for your own good. You've worked so hard all these years. Philip might really be the ladder you need to climb up. I lowered my gaze and remained silent. After a long pause, I muttered, Mrs. Rodney has given me more than enough money. Once this is over, I'll leave. My best friend asked worriedly, Where to? I laughed. Let's go out and see. I'm already this old, and I've never really been on a proper trip. Philip found me drunk, squatting by the roadside drawing circles when he came to pick me up. He sighed and carried me into the car. After sending my best friend home, it was already nearly 2 a.m. Philip went to make me some sober-up soup. I lay on the sofa, watching Philip bustling around the kitchen in an apron. Only a warm yellow lamp was lit in the living room. It's so heartwarming. I ran over barefoot, wrapped my arms around his waist from behind, pressed against his back, and murmured, Why do men cheat? Why did you cheat? Me? Cheat? If you got divorced, what kind of woman would you marry next? Anyway, it wouldn't be someone like me. As I spoke, everything went black before my eyes. I fell backward with my eyes closed, and he caught me firmly in his arms. With a light laugh, What's all this about? Even drunk, you're still putting on such a show. Why do you always love playing this game? He pinched my cheek. Why wouldn't I marry someone like you? What are you like? I wrapped my arms around his neck, smiling through tears. Me? I'm the daughter of a mistress. I'm an illegitimate child. No one wants me. He remained silent. A warm kiss landed on my forehead, and then I lost consciousness. I couldn't sleep soundly in the middle of the night, tossing and turning with nightmares, while it seemed someone was soothing me by my ear all along. I'm addicted to this feeling, nuzzling into his embrace and clutching him tightly. Don't go. He held me just as tightly. Silly. The next morning when I woke up, I got out of bed and, still half asleep, caught the delicious aroma of food. I stopped at the door. There was an additional woman in the living room. She was crying. Why won't you see me? We've known each other since childhood, and your parents intended for you to marry me. If only you'd leave. Philip interrupted her with a cold expression. That's not what I meant. Please leave. Before he even got divorced, his parents had already lined up his next match. Childhood sweethearts, well matched in social status. Philip just said he didn't mean it that way. Does he not want to get divorced? Then what about Mrs. Rodney? I need to quickly organize the evidence and send it to her. Lost in thought, Philip suddenly appeared in front of me. He asked, Did you hear everything? He frowned and opened his mouth. I quickly interrupted him. It's okay. I understand. Philip wanted to say more, but I didn't want to hear it. In such situations, it's usually just a matter of coaxing me a little. I held onto Philip's arm and pushed him out, changing the subject. What delicious thing did you make? It smells so good. Beef noodles. It's my first time making them. Try them and see if they suit your taste. He handed me the chopsticks, looking at me with anticipation. To be honest, it's a bit salty, but I still gave a thumbs up. Delicious. Hearing this, He couldn't wait to take a bite and gave me a resentful look. Then he sighed softly, stood up, and took my hand. Let's go. We'll eat out. I smiled and leaned into his arms. I'm not lying. It's really delicious. I have a very strong palate. After saying that, I raised an eyebrow. He chuckled. What kind of nonsense is this? In a few days, Philip will be on a business trip. Taking advantage of this time, I organized all the evidence from my phone and sent it all to Mrs. Rodney. The evidence is solid. Videos, photos, chat records, and even transaction records are all there. My task is complete. As for whether they can get divorced or will get divorced, that's their business. I and Philip are from two different worlds. I shouldn't have developed feelings for him. Leaving is the best choice for me. I blocked Philip and Mrs. Rodney's contact information. Booked a same-day flight to Tanzania. I've actually wanted to visit Tanzania for a long time. Do you remember squatting in front of the TV as a child? Watching Animal Planet, where a male lion defeated the Lion King and took over the pride. The lioness, for the sake of her cubs, resolutely left the pride. A mother's love is great, but it must also be admitted that some mothers do not love their children that much. Or perhaps, her love was distorted. July to September marks the peak of the animal migration in Tanzania. The tour group leader was a Chinese man in his early 20s. He knew a great deal about animal behavior and was particularly engaging when telling stories. During these days in Tanzania, he took great care of me. I couldn't get used to the local food, so he even cooked for me and brought it over. 3 dishes and a soup. We sat under an open-air shed, eating, drinking, and chatting together. In a daze, I turned around and seemed to catch sight of a familiar figure. I froze for a few seconds. The tour guide asked me, "What's wrong?" I shook my head and said, "I think I've had a bit too much to drink. Must be seeing things." As soon as the words fell, a familiar voice sounded behind me. "Zoe." I froze, turned around slowly. Oh my God, it really is Philip. How did he find his way here? Did he come specifically to mess with me? I swallowed hard. My brain is telling me that the best thing to do right now is to run away. But as I look around, there's really nowhere to escape. So I have no choice but to resign myself to fate. With a forced smile, I greet them. "Ah, long time no see." The tour guide stands up. "You know each other." Philip gritted his teeth. "More than just acquainted." The tour guide caught the tension and stood up, shielding me. "I don't think so. Miss Zoe seems rather reluctant to see you." Philip darkened. "You don't want to see me." I feel both embarrassed and guilty. Stammering, I said, "And no, not at all. How could I not want to see you?" To prevent the situation from becoming too awkward, I took Philip back to the hotel. At the door of the room, as I was about to use the keycard to open it, I secretly glanced back at him. He looked like a gloomy male ghost. Oh my God. Someone please save me. If we go inside, no one will hear me even if I scream for help. Forget it. Go all the way with the act. Gritting my teeth, I turned around, and tears came on cue. "Mr. Philip, what are you doing here?" He stared at me, as if saying, "Let's see what other tricks you've got up your sleeve." Wiping my tears, I said, "Just go. Your wife has already found out about our relationship. Continuing like this won't be good for either of us." He laughed. He actually laughed. Philip stepped towards me, trapping me in the circle of his arms, then bent down to whisper in my ear, "So what if she knows? Am I supposed to be afraid of her?" The man lifted my chin and said, "Zoe, You were the one who provoked me first. After devouring me completely, you still have the mood to watch animal migration. There's no such thing as a free meal in this world. Philip snatched the room key from my hand. With a beep, the door opened. He bent down, picked me up, and threw me onto the bed. The room was pitch black as he pressed himself against me, wrapping his arm around my waist, pulling my body tightly against his. My mind was in complete chaos, and I reached out to press against his chest. Don't. Did your wife find out about us and not react? Isn't she demanding a divorce from you? Does she have? I have evidence of your infidelity. Before I could finish speaking, Philip grabbed my wrist and kissed my palm. Don't be afraid. She can't do anything to me. Oh my God. What an absolute madman. Seeing Philip start to loosen his tie, I reached out in panic and said, Wait a minute. I had no choice but to come clean and tell the whole truth. Mr. Philip, let me be honest with you. Actually, there was a scheme behind me being with you. Your wife paid me 10 million to seduce you and gather evidence of your infidelity. I've already given her the evidence. Before I could finish, Philip leaned down and kissed my lips. The air fell silent for a moment. I bit my lip. He smirked through gritted teeth. No marriage. No wife. Just a heart you've thoroughly broken. I froze. Then when I mentioned your wife earlier, you still. He cut me off. I thought that was your idea of foreplay. Me, Zoe. You spent my money, slept with my man, and took 10 million from my sister. What an impressive appetite you have. Sister. I hadn't even begun to process the shock. Philip narrowed his eyes. Come back to the country with me. We'll settle this account properly. I clung to his arm desperately, pleading. All the money I spent from you went to your sister. You can't pin that on me. He shrugged with a shameless grin. Sorry. The money never reached me. Besides, if you sell the house and car now, you'd take a huge loss. Right. I'm going to settle this debt with you too. Lying on the bed, I looked utterly hopeless. Oh my God.